Welcome to Kodachi for Three, a bi-weekly podcast where three friends and passionate players discuss the world of Wraith. If you're looking for flesh and blood content, we've got it. Focusing on competitive play, community building, and yes, going off on plenty of tangents. From our favorite casual builds to the market, nothing is off limits. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for Kodachi for Three.
Alright, welcome everybody. I am going to be doing a little bit of a case opening here. We'll probably only get through the first box in this first video. I might go ahead and hit up some more videos later, but we'll just give it a shot and see how people like us opening. Early on, I think I'm going to be moving pretty quick through, just trying to look at the spicy cards, you know, your Majestics, your Fableds, hopefully, you know, things like that. Probably won't really go into the rares, the commons, things like that. But if people want to see those and want to go through those, I can go through those on stream or on camera later. I do actually have all that stuff popped up together and can kind of give some of my thoughts and things on those. But for now, I think we want to just stay on the stuff that's a little spicier. Kind of get that going. Running low on coffee today, so we'll have to see how the stream feels. Honestly, I'm pretty excited to be opening these things. Getting them just a little bit early, kind of helping open for some local stuff and get it done as quick as possible. So let's get cracking to it. I know a lot of people have had some concern about this. I don't know if you've really seen the professor's video or anything about the way these packs go together, but the paper actually feels really good, and I have found a new way to open these. I just kind of rip off the top, pop that over there, kind of use the trash, and slide them out, and I actually think that works really well, so that's something I'm definitely excited about. We'll separate our foils here. So we got a foil slice and dice in this one of the new warrior rares. Nothing too crazy, but it is at least an extended art, so I'm definitely happy to see that. And just a couple rares, so hop those off to the side. Keep moving. And I will probably be bringing all these cards up to the side of the screen. So when they're special, you're gonna see them up here, kind of in that flesh and blood card area. And we'll just kind of do our streams from there. I kind of like that from the perspective of being able to see everything, to have me be able to explain those things without just kind of doing it here. And that way, if you're struggling to read the cards as I kind of move, or if there's blur and everything on the camera, then I can do that. So something I will say that's kind of a little bit of a bad feel here. There are no token slots in these packs. However, tokens do appear as common cards. And I just don't really like that. I'm not saying it's not... I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that overall. But this is trash. So kind of get that off to the side. Get it out of the way. Alright. This one we're going to have a Reek of Corruption. Just a common foil. So we'll kind of put this off over here. We've got two rares, got a Smashing Good Time, and a Rune Blood Incantation. Nothing special on any of that. So keep moving again. Try to find something spicy. I'm actually also going to go ahead and move a couple of boxes over here so I can not have all this trash on the screen, which I'm going to end up piling up. So... As you can see, the paper cards actually do keep things pretty high quality, or the paper packaging do keep things pretty high quality. I haven't seen any damage or nicks on any of my cards, really, outside of normal wear and tear that you see. Nothing that's unique to the paper wrappers here. I definitely think I expected it when we were first going on through the process, but hasn't been the case. Might end up adding some music to the background here. At least once we get this stream going for y'all. That way I don't have to stream of consciousness talk. Now this is unique since we do have the carnival slot in this. I actually pulled two Majestics in that pack. So we've got a cash out here and for you it's probably going to be a little bit to the side, so I'll kind of turn it the cash out majestic generic, and then we also, in the very same pack, due to the carnival slot, have Nerves of Steel, this guardian action aura. So that's something that has never been the case in any other packages, and it does make opening a double majestic pack very nice. So I think we're 3 packs in here, and we pulled 2 majestics and an extended art. So it's not the worst start to it so far. I'm gonna take that. Definitely interested to how you guys' pulls is going. So if you want to give me some comments and everything, either on the stream or once this is up on YouTube, you feel free to do that. One of those great little tokens that everybody's going to be excited about pulling. And another common foil. We've got 2 rares in this one. I actually do really love the art on Potion of Deja Vu. So, and I do plan on giving it a shot and playing it around a little bit in a wizard deck. I feel like at this point that a wizard deck might actually be viable again. And when I say viable again, if you're a blitz player, it's always been viable, of course. If you're a classic constructed player, it has not been viable for quite a time, and well, at least to my opinion, it's just not a viable class. You don't see it. The wins you get are wins because people are surprised that you're playing it, and didn't run Null Rune 3 or Null Rune 4 more than anything else. 100 wins, rare there. And then we've got the Dreadbore. This is not foil or anything, but this is a nice new equipment for the Ranger. Not having the ability to play those defense reactions is a pretty big deal. This is just from hand, so that's something to keep in mind. They can still play some things like that from the arsenal, but it's a very nice card. It's a majestic in the set. Something I think I'm a little worried about in this set, but that I have been somewhat convinced isn't as much of an issue as I thought it would be, is that opening some of the majestics wouldn't feel as good, because there are so many majestics you don't want multiple copies of, being like your Bravo, star of the show, and things like that. You don't really want a ton of copies of those, and so once you've pulled your first copy, seeing that is a little sad. That being said, there are 45 majestics in the set, and 45 majestics in the set does tend to give you enough where you're not really seeing the same thing just over and over again. Let me see what I've done here. I actually just didn't have a rare foil set up until then, so that's what I needed to do. And then just 2 normal rares here, nothing special. I'm going to get easily distracted during this, but I'm going to try to move through it as quickly as possible. That way we don't end up with the longest single box opening, and then I'll probably post these one by one as I open the case, instead of just as a super long full case opening. Just because I will do some after editing on the process. This Veiled Intentions, it's probably going to be hard to see in the video, but this Veiled Intentions, I like the foiling on it. It's just really hitting the tablecloth and a couple of those pieces of clutter and food on the table there, which I do really like. I don't know if it's true. It feels like they have updated the foiling process in this set just a little bit, and then it's got a little bit better. I'm not seeing any curve whatsoever on these cards, so I don't know if you can really tell here. These are all foils, and if we hold them up to the camera, they're not bending, they're not warping, and that's something that I've seen a lot in past sets, is a pretty distinct warp on the foiled cards, and that's not been the case here. So I don't know if it's just the box that I've been opening so far, or if that's actually just the new norm, which is kind of nice. One of those great little tokens. You get annoyed by that every time now. It's going to be the case forever. I think our locals are actually going to end up running some sealed out of this set, 4 copies of any base set of your choice, and then 4 copies of this particular set. Just kind of move on there. I love the theme of the set. I do have to say that. The artwork really makes me happy. A lot of it's punchy, bright, colorful. Carnival theme is very nice. Something I'm looking forward to. And I actually think a lot of classes got some very good cards here. Sometimes just shoring up matchups that were kind of bad in the past. So all in all, pretty good set. A little bit bummed from a warrior perspective. I'd kind of hoped to get more. It didn't really feel like I got any support for Dorinthia. That's going to be the case for a lot of people though, right? Like, they're just not going to get the support they're looking for in their chosen class. or at least in their chosen theme of a class. That's not necessarily a problem. There's a lot of items in here. I've never been a huge item fan in the game, but I can see a purpose for almost every single one of them, and decks that I'm definitely going to try them out in. I don't know that there's an item heavy deck out there, at least not for competitive play. I don't think you're going to be including a bunch of the new items all at once, but they're very interesting. Nice little foil on that rare. And 2 more rares. We dried up on the Majestics early there. 3 Majestics, 1 extended art, nothing else so far. And I know we're about halfway, so it's probably going to be one of the worst box openings I've had so far. 7. That common foil, a rare. We did get a Majestic here. One of the cooler ones. TCG Player had a deal that you could get this as a playmat, and didn't love their pricing on that particular deal, especially because our local store takes care of our group really well, takes care of the show really well. If you're in the Oklahoma area, Edmond Unplugged is usually doing good business, especially for the Flesh and Blood community. They spend a lot of time, a lot of effort into keeping us going. Now I do run our events, and so I'm partial to that. Being a warrior card, I love that foiling, but I don't think it's going to see a lot of play for us. But yeah, no, they spend a lot of time in keeping us going, and have given me as the organization leader there a lot of freedom to kind of maintain the community as I'd like. So I'm pretty actually excited about this one, especially for a blitz deck with things like Benji. Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, I think it's going to be a really good Majestic for Ninja. I don't know how everybody listening feels, but I've noted that all those classes with the big bomb legendaries, right? So your Mask of Momentum instead of the Mask of Pouncing Lynx here. Those are great cards. Those legendaries are amazing. I think they are still better than these cards here. That being said, like if you're a budget player and you don't want to go out and buy a Mask of Momentum, you can buy a Mask of Pouncing Lynx, and this is a Block 2 equipment. It's got a solid trigger, solid effect. You're a much more budget option for what you're wanting to do there. A couple more rares here. And I think that's a really good direction for the game, and for budget players. It gives a lot more viability. If I just want to pick up and try the game, and say I want to pick up and try the game, but I don't want to pick up and try the game with a bad deck, and we're going to say a bad deck as a struggle here. It might not actually be bad necessarily, but I know a lot of people feel very disheartened when they sit across the table from a bunch of money cards. This does a lot to bridge that gap. So I'm a big fan of the way they're doing that there. Moving right along. I'm not the fastest opener of these things. We really work on that speed there. A foil high roller, just a high striker and a pierce reality here. Nothing special on those rares. A lot less cards for me to be super excited about so far. Ooh, a Frostbite token. What? Living Large. Oh, this actually is very, very nice. So it's a foil Majestic, one of the Pulverizes. I think currently the highest attack value card in the game. I haven't been a Guardian player a lot, and it's not because I don't like Guardian. It is because our area is filthy with Prism players. And I feel like Prism is just a really rough matchup for Guardian. They've drawn it a lot closer, but Guardian versus Prism, I think Prism basically holds the advantage every time, especially in that control build. And I know people talk about the wider meta a lot, and so do we, both on Kodachi for 3 podcast and as a local play group. It's great to talk about the worldwide meta, it is. But if your local meta is drastically different than the worldwide meta, it doesn't really matter. You might actually end up taking quote-unquote worldwide meta deck and then doing very, very poorly in your locals because you assume that the best deck in the world is the best deck in all situations. And that's not the case. New Zealand has a drastically different meta than we do here in the United States, or at least different enough in both playstyle and in deck construction that it's not always the right move. Now, if you don't know where you're going, and you don't know where you're starting with the deck at all, of course, it's a great idea to, net deck something out there, get a feel for why cards work, why they don't work, what you could possibly be doing differently, or at least get a starting point for your deck and then add some flavor to it. I do like to construct my own, but I'd also consider myself a little bit more of a pilot than a deck builder some days. Drayton is definitely the guy on the podcast who spends the most time like homebrewing decks, and it's not that I don't, but I do typically like to find something that works really well for me, and then expand upon it over time or reiterate on it over time more than I do necessarily like to have this like massively different deck than the whole, than the meta, than the average. Just a little bit of spice, a little bit of personality, things that make things work better for me, but I don't want to go a whole new direction. Besides, most of my pet decks are Dorinthia, and we're not in a great place. Not in a great place. We didn't get extra support. The wild ride there. I don't think I'd necessarily seen this one before. I haven't opened a Clarity Potion yet. I think it's a beautiful card. I'd love to get this one in cold foil. And if people weren't aware, you can indeed get cold foils of every single one of the items this time. And so that's actually kind of a big deal. Some people are very much not fans of that, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I actually think that makes the set more interesting to open because there are so many variations of cool things that you can get in the set. So, like I said, there are 45 different Majestics, but in the rare slots, there's a lot of these extended art cards. That's actually a pretty rare card, even though it's only a rare slot, just because it has the extended art to it. There's, of course, the extended art rainbow foil Majestics. Always very cool, always awesome to get. But then there's also cold foils of all the items. There's tons of items in this. There's also cold foils that are a bit more unique, and I'll show you one of these. I opened it in another pack before we started streaming, but there's the Cold Foil Bravo Star of the Show, right? And so Cold Foil Bravo, the Star of the Show, it's a very pretty card in general. I like the cold foiling on it, the extended art on it. But then you've got the back, and this looks kind of like something you would get in some of those pre-constructed decks, but it's also cold foiled. I apologize, I'm getting some flare off the light in here. It's very bright, but it's a very pretty card. I'm very, very happy to have pulled this. I don't know what this kind of thing's going to end up being as a market value, but honestly, end of the day, what it really means is that first edition is actually fairly exciting to open. There's a lot more differences in the first edition product than I expected there to be. There's a lot more unique things in the first edition product than I expected there to be. In the past, it's only been a couple cards, and it's not really been that big of a deal. And so first edition was having that first edition marker on there, but it wasn't unique outside of a very few minimal amount of cold foils. Rare. Hey, we'll have another Majestic in this, so we're finally starting to pull that average back up. I really do like the Ranger cards in this set. Rain Razors, +2 arrows while attacking this turn. It's pretty solid. You're not really sending out a ton of arrows per turn, so it's not the biggest buff in the world. It doesn't block, but it is an instant, so it kind of gives that surprise buff. And that's the main thing I'm excited about on Rain Razors. Down to my last two packs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me toss off this here. And there's going to be one of the cold foil items. So we managed to get one of these to show on stream. And it will flare fairly nicely. I'm going to try to catch it without catching too much of the overhead light that I've got going on here. So you can tell the foiling. That's not perfect, but it is a pretty card. Let's get that cold foil set off to the side here. I'll probably sleeve that up here in a bit, but it's not overly concerning to me right now. And then we'll kind of give a summary of what we got here. It's our last pack. Just streaming through it. We got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do like the foil on Twin Twisters as well. I think it's a nice little foil. It kind of really goes into the twister portion makes that stand out. So I like it, but it's a common. Nothing to write home about. 2 rares in this last pack, nothing. So out of this pack, just to give people ideas on distributions, we had 1 rainbow foil extended art rare. We had 1 rainbow foil extended art majestic, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional majestics. So 8 majestics out of that pack. I would say that's probably a little bit low. And then we had the 1 cold foil rare healing potion as the item there. So that's probably a little bit of a below average pack. As you can see, and I have opened a couple of other things so far, and I'll kind of cover some of those cards just now to show that we have opened a few other things over here. We've got the Fable. This is actually opened in the very first pack, and I was doing that when I was testing the stream setup, and so probably my biggest excitement, and the only reason I'm showing it to you now, is because I did end up opening the Fable and got super stoked about it. But then we got a couple more cold foil potions, Potion of Ironhide, probably the one I'm least excited about, Talisman of Warfare. A couple other things that you can see in extended art in case we don't pull them in additional pulls later. So High Striker, I love this beefy guy, very stereotypical Carnival, 100 wins in an extended art. And then we just have some rainbow foil majestics out here. So this is kind of the heavy stuff that I pulled from a single case. So you're looking at a Fable, a Bravo, and a Dreadbore. As the big cold foils, you're looking at a Potion of Ironhide, an Amulet of Oblivion, and Talisman of Wonder. As smaller cold foils, then you've got 2 extended arts in the case, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rainbow foil majestics in a case. So we'll see if this case ends up turning out better. It's currently going a little worse, but we'll see where it ends up in the long term. So that was pack or box 1 of a case. And basically, I'm going to pause the stream here. We'll circle back and we'll do the rest.
Thanks for listening and being a part of the Flesh and Blood community. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please share us, leave us a like or a review. If you want to engage with us directly, please find us on Facebook at Kodachi43. And remember, we are available for download on all major podcast providers. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, enjoy playing Flesh and Blood.